For my participating video activity, I chose option number 1, where I was to interview a cross-section of staff and faculty members regarding the perspective of the campus vision. I asked the questions that were assigned, and through the course of each interview, I also asked additional questions depending on what the participants had said. I got a couple of administrators, I got an instructional specialist, and I got a couple of classroom teachers to participate, so you could get different, so there will be different viewpoints. I'm expecting them to say different things, as they're going to answer the questions from their point of view. I'm sure that an administrator is going to see the campus vision in a different way than a teacher will. A teacher might have a smaller focused just on their classroom, where an administrator has to worry about the campus as a whole. Before doing this, I did one of the practicum activities where I had to develop and implement a plan to acknowledge and recognize and celebrate the contributions that not only the staff but also the students made. So I came up with a plan, a way that our school could become better at this, and I discussed it not only with my campus mentor but with the building principal, and we are about to begin implementing that at the time that we were about to begin implementing that at the time that I started these interviews. So I'm expecting, because I don't think that our campus does a very good job of that now, I'm expecting that in the course of these interviews that's what you're going to hear from the participants, that our campus doesn't really recognize, we don't go out and do what we need to make the teachers feel appreciated, or to make the rest of the staff, even the paraprofessionals, the administrators, everybody. I don't think we do what we need to make them feel like they're appreciated and what they do is important. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe everybody thinks that, but going into this, that's what I'm expecting. I'm going to assume I'm in the camera. Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity to interview you.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you sacrificing some of your time. Just have a few questions.
Okay.
First, how does the campus acknowledge, recognize, and celebrate those who implement strategies in support of the campus vision?
I think our campus does a really good job of celebrating people when they are doing things in support of our vision. We have weekly PLC meetings where some of our specialists and our administrators direct the instruction, and then ask the teachers to bring in products that they've used in the classroom with the kids that support our vision, and then they discuss those things and provide kudos to everyone in the room, and just really spend some time acknowledging them for the work that they're doing in the classroom. Our administrative team tries to get out into classrooms as much as possible to see if the instruction in the classroom is carrying forth what our vision is at our campus. And so we do a lot of communicating through email systems, faculty meetings. We try to do a good job of acknowledging teachers for what they're doing in the classroom that supports what we want the kids to learn.
Okay. How are these contributions and achievements effectively communicated to the staff, students, and community? I guess you already pointed out, like, it's brought up during PLCs and stuff like that. Is there anything else?
It's difficult on a campus this size to make sure that you're effectively communicating, because the largest means of communication that we have is the email system, but it is very difficult to know that everybody gets that email. Honestly, I think email is it's kind of something that we fall back on too much, and I believe a personal thank you and acknowledgement that you're doing a really good job is much more effective, and sincere and appreciated, I think, by the staff. So I like to do things where I'm personally thanking people in front of faculty meetings and really acknowledging that I really do care about everybody and that I appreciate the work that they're doing. I think that that's a better way to do it, although with a school our size, it's very difficult.
Yeah, I would say teachers appreciate that more. I definitely agree with that. How does the campus use innovative thinking, risk-taking, or failures as a learning experience to promote the campus vision?
I think we have to look at what we're doing and examine our practices and determine if it's working. If it's not working, we're a one-to-one campus, and I think we're constantly growing in trying to provide professional development for teachers so that they can use the one-to-one technology in their classrooms. And I think we're also constantly looking at what is working and what is not working in the classroom in order to meet the needs of the kids. These are 21st century learners. I think one of the biggest obstacles we have is providing professional development to teachers so that they are equally as savvy in the use of technology as our students are. And not just saying we're going to use a computer, but saying, how are we actually able to use that in the classroom? So I think, I don't know if we're doing a great job of that, but I think we could do better at examining the tools that we're giving our kids and if they're actually effective, and then taking the lessons that we're learning from that and then tweaking our practices.
Do you happen to have an idea of how you think you would determine whether or not certain uses of technology are effective or not? Or is that just an ongoing process?
I've just started looking at the professional development that is provided to teachers. We can't just put a piece of technology in front of them, whether it's the computer or Blackboard or all the different things that our campus provides teachers as mechanisms for them to use with their students. We can't just give it to them and say, okay, use it. We have to demonstrate to them how it's used, and then I think providing teachers that are using it really well and allowing our teachers that time to go in and observe teachers is something that we really should be doing more of, because there are instructors on our campus that are using very innovative ways to use our technology, but it's only small pockets. But our school is so big and everybody's so busy, we just don't have time sometimes to really sit down and say, this teacher's doing something that's very innovative. Let's get some other teachers in so that they might be able to adopt that in their classrooms. I think that real world, seeing how it's being used in somebody else's classroom is so valuable. But just with the constraints of our schedules, that we forget that piece. I think it's different to tell a teacher how to do something, and it's better to show them how it's being used. And I think that part is missing.
Okay. And last question. What processes are used in improving morale, which moves the campus towards the realization of the campus vision?
I'm going to speak about how I try to build morale up on campus. I'm the testing coordinator, and sometimes that is it's a very isolating position because I spend a lot of time working on spreadsheets and assigning tests and training people for security, and I'm probably not the most popular person because I do take a lot of people. I take a lot of time away from people. I take a lot of instruction time away because we have to provide these assessments. But I try to bring a sense of humor to any presentation I have that kind of lightens the mood so that people realize, okay, we've got to do this training, but hopefully it's going to be fun and we're going to get something out of it. I try to be very polite and very thankful for everybody and what they do. I also try to go out of my way to make a testing experience something that people don't just dread. I try to put 2 proctors in every classroom so that people get breaks and that they don't feel like that they're abandoned, left with these kids in a room by themselves. I also will partner people up with their friends if they just send me an email and tell me, hey, will you partner me up with so-and-so? Because I know if I have to proctor, I want to do it with my friend. And so I do try to do little things by leaving people in their classrooms to proctor if I can. Just doing things that, even though it's a testing day, that people still don't feel like that it's just a terrible experience. So those are just things that I try to do to build morale. And I found that when I first came here, I had a lot of people that would call in sick on testing days, and now I find that very few people call out. And I hope it's because I'm trying to build relationships with people, let them know that I actually do care about them and the work that they do here and the contributions that they provide. And then in return, it's creating a better testing environment for the kids.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
And thanks for
Thank you.
meeting with me.
Okay.
Okay. I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me today.
Sure.
How does the campus acknowledge, recognize, and celebrate those who implement strategies in support of the campus vision?
Well, there's a variety of things that we do, first of all, to, I guess, find out exactly what's happening in the classroom. Of course, one of those is primarily through doing walkthroughs, and each administrator, as you know, has a select group of teachers that they evaluate, so that's primarily who they will go in and do walkthroughs with. But when they're in the classroom, we fill out a form where we have different things that we check, that we observe. Then in the comment section, I think is really probably the most critical piece of feedback that you can give to teachers when you're doing a walkthrough, whether that's just a 3 to 5 minute snapshot, whether that's a 15-minute or the 45-minute. I think giving that written feedback is really critical, and then also following up when need be with an actual conversation with the teacher so that they have a really good idea of when they are really implementing something really well, or if you see growth that's happening instructionally, you can elaborate a little bit more, if whether it's a sit down in the office or sometimes just a hallway conversation can suffice for things like that.
Okay. How are these contributions and achievements effectively communicated to the staff, the students, and the community?
Well, depending on what we're talking about in terms of celebrations, I mean, we do have Twitter, which is probably one of our, I guess, the biggest promotional venues as far as the community goes. We also have our website where we post and celebrate, teacher celebrations, team celebrations, just activities, the German Fest, and other things that are just happening on the campus that involve the community, teachers, and students. So those are a couple of community things. We do have our announcements every day where we try to celebrate things that are good and happening in the classroom. We have a variety of meetings. We have specialist meetings, we have team leader meetings, we have faculty meetings. So I think depending on the nature of the celebration, and I know our principal, Ms. Crittenton, is really big on kudos or celebrations, and starting off every meeting with that, where we just share and talk about the positive things so that teachers can also share the good things that maybe administrators never see, and I know that we don't even see
I know this
nearly enough of the good stuff that happens. That's just the nature of...
I know this question's not on here, but
That's okay.
What do you think is the most, I'm not going to say effective, but what do you think is the best way to show a teacher recognition, just personally? There's no... What do you think would be the best approach or the best idea or something you would like to try and
Sure.
that's never been implemented?
I think sometimes that's situational, and that really comes from knowing your teachers. Some teachers really want that public recognition. Some would really prefer just a handwritten note. Some want a verbal conversation and verbal praise. And then some want all of that in a combination of. So I think once you really get to know your staff and understand how they effectively respond to those different levels of praise and celebration, you need to work that and feed off of that.
Just depends on the person.
So I think sometimes it depends on the person, and I think that also sometimes depends on the team. And But most importantly, I think people feed off of true, genuine, authentic praise that's very specific. That's more than just a thank you, I know you work hard, I appreciate what you do. I think people really want to be celebrated for those very specific, authentic things that that they do each and every day. So.
Okay. How does the campus use innovative thinking, risk-taking, or failures as learning experiences to promote the campus vision? If you can think of a specific example, that would work.
Think of a specific example. Well, I think, we talk a lot about data, and we're very data rich. And I think a lot of decisions that we make about instruction obviously have to be driven by data. But you have to be looking at the right data at the right time in order for it to be an effective use in the classroom. And I think helping people understand what data should be used and when you should use it and how it should be used is a really critical component in determining the level of effectiveness. And I think if that piece is missing, then you're just looking at data. And it doesn't necessarily mean anything, and it's not really driving what's happening in the classroom for the individual teacher. And I think that certain teachers are at a 10 with looking at data and understanding it and using it effectively, and then I think there's other teachers that are still at a 1 or 2. And then I think helping those teachers that are at those different levels are really is a really critical piece. And I think finding a way or a resource for teachers to help the teacher create a mind's eye when it comes to instructional strategies. That's just a strong personal belief of mine.
How do you think that would be achieved?
I think you have to video exemplars of, in a classroom, of using an effective instructional strategy and show it and share it to other people that maybe just don't really understand or can't really visualize how that plays out in a classroom. So that's something that I did at my previous campus. Or, create a way for teachers to go in and observe other teachers. That definitely is a culture that has to be built up on a campus, because I know teachers are very protective of their classroom and very protective over who observes them and the feedback that they give. But that's just a culture that has to be created on a campus, because, as a teacher, and this was my biggest learning experience when I went from the classroom into being an administrator, was, I thought I did a really bang-up job. I thought I was killing it, and I did great, and my kids were awesome, and, we were a well-oiled machine. And then when I got into administration, I got a little bit of a reality check. I wasn't really as great as I thought I was, but I was definitely better than some. But you don't necessarily really know that until you get out there and you go and you see other people actually playing out in the classroom.
And administrators say that before.
Sure,
When
yeah.
they make the transition, they go and they see other classroom, they see so many great things and things they never even thought of. And
You're right. Yeah, and well, like, I'm over U.S. history. U.S. history, or history in general, all through school was my worst subject. It was my least liked subject. But I know good teaching. Good teaching is good teaching. Whether you're teaching the right content or not is irrelevant. Of course that's important, but good but good teaching is good teaching. And when you walk into a classroom, you know if there is good, authentic teaching, more importantly, learning going on in that classroom. You can tell. You just know. Whether or not you know if what is actually being taught is accurate information. You know.
whether it's true or not, the kids are learning that information.
Correct.
I can understand.
Yeah. Of course, you want it to be
Hopefully
correct.
it's true.
Of course, you want it to be accurate curriculum, but teachers often say, well, how can you evaluate me if, hey, I'm almost done. I was doing an interview for him. But teachers often say, well, how can you evaluate me? You never taught this in high school, or you never taught this when you were a teacher. You're right, I didn't. But I can walk into your classroom and I can tell if students are actually engaged in their learning the material. So, and anybody can do that. Anybody can walk into a classroom and look and see if the students are actually learning. Eventually, you may not be able to do that the first time, but I always encourage teachers, that is by far the best learning experiences from your colleagues. Good, bad, and otherwise, and everything in between. For sure.
Okay, one more question.
Okay.
What processes are used in improving morale, which moves the campus towards the realization
What you got going on now?
of the campus vision?
Presentation information? Who's that?
I think that there
Ms. Nancy?
are definitely pockets of celebrations and recognition of things that are going well and things that, good positives that are happening on campus. I know that when that happens, people really appreciate it and they, love to be celebrated and recognized. I know at this time of year, it's definitely, everyone's feeling the pressure, testing is upon us, and typically morale takes a dip right before spring break and right before EOC testing and everything is happening. So as campus leaders, you have to be really intentional about getting out there and making sure that people know, especially teachers, that they're supported. We're here to help you, whether that's with the kids and the discipline or just, a hey, good morning, hope you have a great spring break, for example. Just to be a
Personal connection.
The personal connection.
I
Yeah,
got you.
people really feed off of that personal connection and that relationship. Yeah.
Okay. All right,
Absolutely.
Doctor. Well, I appreciate you taking out the time
You're
to meet with me.
welcome.
I know you're very busy.
You're welcome.
And, that's it. Thanks.
Okay. You're welcome. Anytime.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So much.
Absolutely.
All this stuff back.
Okay. Let me go down and
Thank you.
All right, thank you for meeting with me. I appreciate you giving up some of your time so that we could talk about this. I just want to ask you a few questions. First, how does the campus acknowledge, recognize, and celebrate those who implement strategies that support the campus vision?
Well, during our professional development at the beginning of the year, we have this shared campus vision that we all go to this meeting and we all talk about what we want the following year. Then from that, we have these Tuesday PLCs where we go in and we sit down as, it's not just our team, but it's several teams, so we can make sure that we're sharing our same vision during that Tuesday PLC with all the teams on campus, because we meet with the specialists and those specialists meet with every class period of teachers who have off that period. So from that, we learn what vision we are working on, we implement it, we discuss it, and then we celebrate the successes and talk about the failures. So.
Okay, and how are the successes or the failures, for that matter, how are they shared or communicated with the staff and the rest of the faculty?
We have a communicator that goes out to just the faculty, and we talk about the celebrations, and we also have a campus newsletter that goes out to the community and the faculty and students.
Okay. Is there anything in particular that you would like to see as a teacher, the administration do to recognize teachers? This is not on there. Throwing you a curveball.
Well, yeah, there's always things that we can improve on. I would really like for them to start recognizing teachers individually for the great things that they do. Not just at their post conferences individually, but those principals know who those teachers are. I mean, we do have the Red Apple Award, which recognizes one teacher every 6 weeks, but is that really the only time we want to recognize teachers is once a 6 weeks? There's so many chances for us to recognize teachers throughout the school year for doing great things.
How does the campus use innovative thinking how does the campus use innovative thinking, high risk taking, or failures as a learning experience?
I know during our team leader meeting and during post conferences after these lessons that are high risk or different from what we've done in the past, what we'll do is we'll talk about the pros and cons of the lesson. What can we take away from it? Because some things, they work out a little bit, but there's always a little bit of tweaking that needs to be happening so that the lessons are 100% effective, or even 80% effective sometimes. And I think that once we talk about it and we tweak it and we tweak it, and then it becomes one of those really great things that helps us grow as a community.
And finally, what process is used to improve the morale on campus in hopes of reaching the vision?
Well, food at PLC really does help in getting the teachers fed and happy before they talk about the failures. And even it helps to get the teachers loose enough to talk about the successes, because teachers are not the type that are going to be like, oh, I'm so proud of myself, look at what I did. They're not going to be like that. Boastful, yeah. But they can, over food, it's usually a little bit better. And I noticed this at the team leader meeting, because we always get lunch served to us, and it loosens us up and it lets us feel like we're just talking, instead of like, oh, well, a teacher on my team did this, and it was awesome, and I'm going to do it next year. And so we can loosen up and get less formal, right? Also, what I really appreciate is when the staff appreciates and respects our time, because there's a lot of meetings that could have been just sent as an email, and when they recognize that and they let us just grade or do something beneficial to a better use of our time, I really appreciate that. And
okay, that's all I have, and I appreciate you taking time to meet with me and discussing these things. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Are you ready? Yes. Okay. I'm going to thank you for giving me time and all that stuff in a second.
You better invite me to your graduation party.
I'm sorry?
You better invite me to your graduation party.
Okay. All right, thank you for giving me some time and answering these questions. I appreciate it.
Sure, you're welcome.
First thing, how does the campus acknowledge, recognize, and celebrate those who implement strategies to support the campus vision?
Okay, well, our campus is set up in the houses, which help facilitate the PLC process. So by operating in houses, house principals have the opportunity to celebrate teachers each marking period. They can do that through their house meetings. We also have each semester the principals will recognize or celebrate a teacher with the Red Apple Award each semester, and that's by each house. We also have Tuesday PLC celebrations where the campus specialists may recognize a teacher, or team leaders may recognize different teachers on their teams, or administration may recognize different teachers. In each of those, the teachers are acknowledged for their contributions to our vision and how they're helping students achieve that vision, and they are celebrated through those different avenues.
You just brought up talking about what teachers accomplish in PLC and celebrating things that they're doing in the classroom. Are there any other ways that that's communicated, not just to the staff, but maybe the community as a whole?
As far as communication to the community and the students, I do know, like with the Red Apple pictures, our yearbook takes pictures, so those pictures are published in the yearbook to recognize those teachers, and that can be, I know it's distributed at least at the district level, somewhat out in the community, and plus through the students' purchase of it. Also through our Twitter account. I know that different things have been tweeted. For example, our student-run writing lab, that has been tweeted, different things like that, acknowledging both the students and the teacher facilitating that. And then also through our school website, things have been posted celebrating different successes, both this for students and teachers. And then even in the hallways, outside of some houses, they will have bulletin boards that have their teacher of the marking period or students that they recognize. So it's a visual for anyone coming in the campus.
Okay. How does the campus use innovative thinking, risk-taking, or failures to promote the campus vision, like as a learning experience?
Okay, as far as the learning experience, we're really focused on trying to become a data-driven campus, where we use our data, and in some cases failures, to impact and affect instruction. So with that, we have our teacher data notebook where we track our successes and failures from CCAs to make our instruction very data-driven, TEAC-driven, based on student needs. Students also have their own student data notebook where they are able to track their own success and failures and use that as a learning tool. And then we also have Eagles Nest, which is a 30-minute period each day where students can be placed into classes to receive extra remediation for areas where they may be struggling, specifically students enrolled in AP courses and students who are needing to retake various STAR or EOC courses or exams, excuse me.
And what processes are used in improving morale, which moves the campus towards the campus vision?
Under our Good to Great grant, we have PLCs daily, and in those PLCs, that's allowed teachers to work through that PLC process to provide camaraderie, to build teamwork, working together, and they're able to see the benefits of both the implementation of technology in their classes, to see the benefits of various instructional strategies and instructional practices, and be able to share and bounce those ideas off of one another in that process. They also have the opportunity to reflect on their instruction, excuse me, and they're able to work in interdisciplinary groups during Tuesday PLCs to learn from each other outside of just their own content.
And is there anything that you personally, in your personal opinion, would like to see that you think would be a benefit to morale? Is there something that already happens? Is there something that you would think would be a good idea? Like if it was up to you, something you might try to implement?
I think that we need to have, excuse me, a clearer vision, and the vision needs to be more clearly communicated to all the stakeholders, the staff, the students, so that everyone is on the same page. I think that we need to focus more on rewarding excellence and trying to emulate that excellence than focusing as much on our weaker spots. And I just feel that I'm not sure how I would fix that issue of morale, but I do feel it does need to be addressed.
Okay, well, I appreciate your time and thank you for
Thank you.
letting me ask you these questions.
Sorry, my voice is off.
You're fine. I don't even think anybody's going to watch this.
Oh, what?
Oh, I can see myself. Okay. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me today and discuss these issues. Just going to ask you a few questions. First of all, do you have an overall sense about your campus's vision? Like, do you understand what it is they're trying to accomplish? Has your administration made it clear what the goal of the campus is?
I've been working at the school for 2 years, and the first year the administration was very clear about what the goal was. They were trying to, well, first of all, raise STAR scores. I went to a school that had very low scores, and they wanted to take that and fix it. And so it required a complete overhaul. And I knew that they wanted student-centered activities. I know that they wanted the teachers to take a step back and let the students actually work through the issues. They made it very clear that they wanted us to be innovative and take risks and just find a way to make the learning fun, because they thought that if we got them more involved and more, engaged, that the scores would rise with it. And they also wanted very data-centered activities or tests or whatever. So anytime we took tests, we needed to look at the data, look at the weaknesses, and make sure that we were targeting those. So last year I feel like I really knew what they wanted, and because of it we implemented it and were more successful. This year we have a new principal, and he's been more concerned with learning his duties rather than really implementing his vision. And so I feel like it's gotten lost a little bit, and because of that our performance has gone down.
I see. How does the campus, and I guess specifically since you mentioned you have a new principal, how do they acknowledge, recognize, and celebrate those who implement strategies that are supportive of the campus vision? I guess how do they recognize teachers for doing what they should be doing?
I don't really know that they do right now. No one's ever in my room, so they really wouldn't know whether or not I am implementing those strategies. So I feel like right now they're focused on the negative. I feel like they're only really in people's rooms if they're worried about them, or if they feel like things aren't getting done that should be getting done. So I don't really feel like they can recognize the positive and see the positive because they're not there to see it.
How does that make you feel as a teacher?
Not great. I don't know. I just feel like I'm not a problem, so I'm shifted off to the side.
Well, does that bother you? Because I know that there are some teachers who would appreciate being left alone and not ever have anyone come in. But then there's also other teachers who enjoy receiving positive feedback, and so when they don't get that, it bothers them. So is there like a happy medium, or does it really bother you that no one's in there to see that you're actually doing your job?
And I guess it's both, because on one hand I do want, like last year, they were in there every once in a while, but they also respected me as an educator and trusted me to get my job done. And so I do enjoy it when they're not constantly in and out the door, and it's not like a revolving door of people in and out all the time, because that's just a disruption. And I liked being able to run my classroom how I saw fit and not feel like I'm constantly having to adjust to what this person wants and what this person wants and what this person wants, because I've been in a school like that also. But at the same time, when there's no one in there at all, I feel like their view of you as a teacher all of a sudden isn't about how you actually teach. It's about all these other outside things, like the only things that they see, like, I don't know, standing in the hallway or submitting paperwork on time. Like, that's all they see. They don't see your instruction, they don't see your classroom management, they don't see your interactions with the kids. They only see like procedural paperwork stuff. And I don't feel like that's where I shine, so this is frustrating.
How are these contributions and achievements effectively communicated to the staff, students, and community?
Again, I don't really feel like they are. It's more like pep talks at this point. Like when they feel us all getting frustrated, and when they can tell that we're just kind of worn down, they'll kind of pull us together and give us the "you can do it" speech. But it's not really. I don't feel like they set a campus goal this year.
So, I guess if there's no campus goal, then they can't recognize people for meeting the objectives to reach that goal.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you what the campus goal is this year.
In general, our teachers and staff recognize, like, are there shout outs during announcements or during faculty meetings?
Well,
Is
I
it
mean,
a,
we
is
just
it a,
had Teacher Appreciation Week, and they were very good about that. We did something every single day, and he'll tell us, like, as a whole, that he appreciates us, but it's normally only as a whole. Like, y'all did fantastic doing this, or y'all did that. It's always as a whole. He doesn't really
Individualize it.
individualize.
How does the campus use innovative thinking, risk-taking, or failures as a learning experience to promote the campus' vision and goals?
I don't know. I mean, us as an English team, we've done some different things this year, and every time that we have, like, we took all of our kids in the class program and went to the library. We put like 5 classes all together, and we did a Jeopardy review game right before the Writing Star. And before the Reading Star, we took all of our classes into the cafeteria and did like an escape room review thing. So anytime we're doing something like that, that's kind of, you know, out of the norm, our principals and our academic coordinators, they make sure to stop by, and they come in and they watch what we're doing. And so whenever we do something that's really out of the box, they make sure to come by and see and give us props for kind of going above and beyond.
Have there been any school-wide or maybe even district-wide strategies or things they've asked you to implement that have not worked, and then maybe they went away from it? It may not have happened. It just,
Yeah, I'm thinking. Not really. The district doesn't meddle too much.
okay, because I know I've been in school districts where, you know, they'll implement a strategy and 6 weeks later, because scores haven't magically changed, they automatically get rid of it and go to another strategy.
When I was at Klein, it was like that. They would put like 10 strategies on us at one time and say, master them all at once, do all of them. And when things didn't magically get better, it was our fault, not that and rather than saying, maybe we're putting too much on their plate, and we need to focus on this one strategy and master that, and once that has been mastered, we move on to the next one. But it's not really like that.
What processes are used in improving morale, which moves the campus towards the campus vision? I mean, you just mentioned a minute ago about pep talks.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that they do to keep? How would you describe the morale on your campus?
Right now, it's not great. There are a lot of people that are fed up with a lot of things. And like at the last faculty meeting, he was really saying, like, even if you're fed up with things, you have to think about the kids rather than, like, the principal has noticed that morale is low, and it's not just a few people, it's a majority of the staff. And rather than stopping and saying why is morale low, and pinpointing the problems, he's just pretty much saying, y'all need to pull it together and suck it up for the kids. So I don't think he's ever stopped and thought about why so many people are unhappy right now.
So what do you think could be done from a teacher's point of view to improve the morale at the school?
I think making us feel like we're appreciated individually, because he does make us, like, as a group, he does do that, but like our English team is struggling right now, and it would be nice if he stopped by and said, like, look, I know that this year hasn't been the best year that you've had, but I see you making an effort, I see you trying, and I just want you to know that I appreciate it. Just like talking would be appreciated. Stopping by, making an effort. I mean, I know he's a busy guy. I see him running around, like, putting out fires, so I know that's a lot. But it doesn't have to be a long conversation.
Just a little pat on the back.
I'm a back patter, yes.
All right. Well, that's all I had. So I appreciate you taking the time from your busy schedule to meet with me. Thank you again. God, that was only 10 minutes. So now that these interviews have been conducted and you've gotten to see what they said, I think the most obvious thing that was said, and maybe the most important, is that we recognize teachers and staff members individually. I know both of the administrators said that. and both of the teachers pointed that out, that that's a very important thing. I mean, it's easy to get a group of people together and just say, good job, guys, and keep it up, but it's hard to make the time and to put forth the effort to go by and individually thank a teacher. And not just thank them, but you need to be specific. Say something like, I really like the way that lesson looked in your classroom, it was well planned, or that interaction with whatever student, I think that made a difference. I can see why they do things for you, something like that. Something that personalizes what the teacher is doing. And that's definitely something that I want to make sure that I work on as an educational leader. Another thing that was pointed out is to make sure that there is actually a clear vision that everyone understands. I know I've been at a number of schools, and I've been at schools where there's always a vision, but it may not be communicated to the staff. Everyone might not be on the same page. So making sure that we get everyone on the same page and know what it is that we're trying to accomplish is extremely important. That way we can determine who is doing what needs to be done so that we can help our students achieve at a maximum level. And those who are not doing what needs to be done, damn it. And for those people, we can correct the mistakes. Another thing I took away from this process is just making sure that we give strategies and ideas time to see whether or not they work. I know I had both the administrators point out that we do things and we try strategies, or somebody reads about something and then we have a professional development, and then the next day teachers are expected to be experts on it and implement these ideas. And that's unrealistic. You have to give things, especially when you're working with children, you have to give it time to develop and see if it actually works. There's not going to be an instant fixed education, because if there was, we would all be using it now. I'm very glad. I'm glad that I get to do this particular assignment. I think I found this video much more helpful than the observation one. Getting an understanding of how the teachers are feeling and how the staff members are thinking. I think that's going to be a big benefit to me when I step into a principal role, so that I can understand how to address these issues. And again, making sure that I point out and give positive feedback to the people that I'm working with.